Hey there. It's an amazing day here in Sackville, New Brunswick, and just wanted to provide a little bit of an introduction as far as community machinery and the aims as far as what we're coming together to uphold. And, growing up, I ate, slept, and breathed machines. And whether it was bicycles or go karts or mini bikes or tractors or lawnmowers, I loved taking that stuff apart and putting it together, and all the things even before that, as far as someone's old typewriter or sewing machine, and just seeing how all that stuff went together and what was going on with it, and being the one who would always end up being called when anyone's lawnmower broke down in the neighborhood, as far as replacing the drive belts on the mowers or whatever it was, that a lot of people told themselves, oh, that's not really my gift, that's not really my skill set. So it really took me a long ways as far as that early development, which really set the stage to doing a lot more later on. And today, part of the reason I'm outside, besides the fact that it just feels so enjoyable, is that it took me a long time to really see that machinery is not the be all and end all, that it's a means of helping feel reconnected to places like this in days where it's not sunny out, it's not bright, and if there's rain, if it's buggy, if it's dark, you know, those are edges we have as humans that we, if we're really going to reach a place of peace within ourselves, finding peace with what we refer to as the natural world, as far as knowing if there's a wild animal out there, or a bug or an insect, whatever's going on, a poison ivy, just to be aware and to be mindful and to know how to move around those obstacles. The same as being in the shop, there's a lot of hazards. There's sparks, and knowing where to wear safety glasses, or welding or plasma cutting, knowing that it's different than just the same welding shield for welding than it is plasma cutting or cutting with a torch, what gives off ultraviolet light, what things provide what hazards, knowing how to wear a respirator, knowing how to do a fit test, knowing what different emissions are given off, knowing how to set up a dust collection system or a smoke evacuation unit, and knowing how to do hot work in a safe way, as far as what kind of fire extinguishers needed, how to keep it ready, how to really be patient and take that hour or longer if necessary to really sit at a job site and to plan it in a way where the tools and the cleanup is happening right in the vicinity of where that action is taking place during the day, and really honoring the agreements. As far as we have insurance, so it's important to honor the agreement with the insurance company as far as how we do our fire watch. And it's important that when we work with clients or partners, however these agreements unfold, that you know we make sure we do everything so our insurance comes into effect, and that we abide by the policy so it's there to support us all in the bigger picture until we come to know each other more on an individual or collective basis, where there is a comfort in the self-assuredness that instead of like being around like anonymous entities, that we really see we're here in support of one another, and then we have faith that in standing together and taking an interest in one another's enterprises, that there's a bigger opportunity that's going to come up down the road, and to be working towards that, and to know how to do our best in the meantime, as far as taking the time to eat healthy meals and feeling like there's a great potential in a place like this where there's so much really great food being grown, and how in a workshop environment, coming together, preparing a meal, taking that social time to get to know what we're all about, and having the time to really check in with each other. And when there's something that feels off, that we feel comfortable expressing it instead of just getting into a job. Where I know there's a lot of occasions where I've gotten electrical shocks and came close to being electrocuted, or having a beam fall from a ceiling that wasn't properly secured, or not doing things in a safe way just because someone had the story that we had to conform to a really high standard. We had to get things done yesterday for a lower price, and like someone else was going to come in and start doing that work, which, knowing that we do things in a really good way and that we're really methodical and that we're worth the rate that we're putting out there, those are some of our really major practices as an organization. And that's one thing that authentically we can share with clients as well, as far as how we got to this place where work feels really enjoyable. It feels challenging. There's always going to be something to learn, but at the same time, that it feels like our calling. It feels like we're feeding an innate part of ourselves that wants and needs to be expressed. And those are the kind of people that we're going to attract and meet in a really intentional environment that's more than just about, meeting a bottom line. Sure, that's got to be done within this context, but just like machines, having a lot of money coming in isn't everything. It doesn't create happiness. It doesn't create well-being. It doesn't create any kind of peace whatsoever. Because, I mean, we've all met someone who, no matter how much they have, it's never going to be enough. And even being able to take the time and challenge some of those things when we see them in one another, from knowing them in ourselves, and being able to do it in a really supportive way, is really a higher calling. Instead of just having a job where it's cash for life and punching in, creating something that's a lot bigger. And that's part of the vision, part of the focus that a lot of people have passed along to me, whether they raised an awareness that something was missing. And it's something that's sat with me for so long that I realize, if I'm going to feel like I'm bringing all parts of myself to what I'm doing, that I need to incorporate something into a vision that lays all those old limiting beliefs to rest. And it's not everywhere we're going to find a place like this. So that's my invitation, as far as inviting you along on a journey and telling your friends, for whatever it's worth, knowing that, while we walk on this path in this place and we grow, the more we learn, the more we'll see that we could learn. And there's an important distinction as far as knowing the things we want to learn the most. It's like knowing what we're choosing for. Well, I guess it's the other way. Knowing what we're choosing against, we know what we're choosing for. As far as when I choose to be, building a machine and seeing it plays into a long-term vision, I realize how it helps change some of the angst I feel about things I wasn't able to experience in the past. And I know growing up, I would have really loved to just keep working on the farm, and being able to partner with people in agriculture to do things in a more holistic way and something with a long-term vision, that seems a lot more loving to me than putting a lot of band-aids on old farm equipment that's broken down and hazardous. And being able to say, hey, if I contribute a certain amount of labor and we partner on a venture, when there's a long-term surplus, that part of that needs to get shared with me as far as honoring that I put something in there. And that's the same relationship that I'm going to create with others throughout any kind of organization I've been in, as far as there's something to be said for experiential levels of wisdom and how we need to be honoring those who break ground before us. And there's also so many more coming along after us, and knowing that that's going to propel us forward in terms of deepening our learning, maintaining a deeper responsibility for getting to that next place. So those are some of the aspects that I'm really looking forward to bringing in. There's other stuff. I mean, I'm sure I could go on forever, but that's a brief snippet. This is a little trial video as far as getting some content out there and asking for your feedback. What would you like to hear about? What would you like to know about? What can I follow up on in order to create more sense of how to be of service and really provide, start providing something that creates that lineage as far as when there's the next challenge that gets faced. We look and we see that we've already created the ground, the basic template. It's just a matter of plugging in some new variables and doing that same thing over again, but just in a different form. So those are some very important key points. I'm hoping that through doing more of these videos and sharing more, that some of these points that it took me a long time to get onto become increasingly clear, and that we move through this life in a more fluid way. Because, especially with machinery, it's so dense. I mean, steel is way more dense than the wood, the trees that are around here. And making those things meldable, it also shows us, our inner workings as far as our thoughts, our feelings, our sensibilities, how we interpret this place. It's all subject to change. So on that note, I wish you all the best, and I look forward to being in touch. You know, uh, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and join in on our Facebook group, and you'll see links here at the end. And all the best. I look forward to being there with you, whatever it is that you're passionate about. Thanks so much.